voting in July on the next reconciliation bill. Also, another big wave is coming. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, so first off, let's quickly talk through some new reports that recently hit the wire that we certainly want to keep our eyes on. Number one, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, was recently out indicating the Federal Reserve may not have the ability to tame down all of this inflation. He also indicated it is becoming increasingly difficult to bring this economy in for a soft landing, and he also indicated that the job market will probably not be spared with everything going on. So in other words, the aggressive interest rate hikes that they are implementing right here, right now, is virtually doing nothing, according to what he's indicated. And also what the Federal Reserve is doing right now apparently is also doing virtually nothing to help out the current situation, which is interesting because all of this rapidly rising inflation that we've been dealing with for a very long time now apparently is supposed to start coming down because of the policies out of the Federal Reserve. However, it would seem that according to what has been said here, it may not actually be the actual solution, which is also interesting because that's exactly what I've been saying for a few weeks now, which is they're using the wrong tool for the job. Anyway, I wanted to keep an eye on that because when Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, speaks, everybody listens, and it's very important to listen to him because he is the chairman of the Federal Reserve, and the Federal Reserve basically wags the tail of the entire economy. So anyway, we want to watch that very closely. Next, I want to share with you an interesting report that I also just came across, which is showing that 58% of Americans are currently working from home. That's very interesting. So nearly 6 out of every 10 people who are working right now are working remotely, strictly from home. I don't know. I thought it was a pretty interesting report simply because about 2 years ago, well, actually about 2.5 years ago, prior to the COVID situation, I'm not sure what the actual statistics were then, but this is significantly higher today than what it was just a few years ago. And here's what's interesting. With this whole COVID situation, many people are finding that, hey, maybe we don't all need to flock into an office building and all sit around near each other and actually do our jobs. We can maybe sit at home and actually be in a relaxed environment and still do the same old thing and actually not have to commute. And here's what's also interesting. I saw another report that also indicated that because of these rapidly rising gas prices, the people that are working remotely from home is going to increase as prices continue to rise. Well, that seems pretty obvious to me, but again, just another reason to crawl to your office rather than get into your car and commute and all that stuff. And when I say crawl, I mean literally crawl out of bed and then crawl over to the other room and boom, you're at work, right? Pretty cool, right? Anyway, so I thought those were some interesting reports I wanted to share with you in this video. Next, let's quickly talk about the bill that they will be voting on in July, or what they're hoping to start voting on in July. Now again, we've heard this many, many times out of lawmakers. We've heard this so many times out of Congress. Oh yeah, we're going to be voting by the end of the month. So I just want to tell you this much. This is their plan as of right now, is to vote by the end of July. But will they actually get it done? Well, it's all going to determine what actually happens here within the next couple weeks, because this is going to be the next reconciliation bill. This is the bill that Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin have been working on behind closed doors, just the two of them, for quite a few weeks now. So as far as what I've been reading on this, as far as the other lawmakers, as in the other Democrats, they're kind of clueless as to what's going on because it's mostly been crafted between Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin. However, we do have a little bit of indication what may be in there. One of the key items in there is also lowering prescription prices for those Medicare beneficiaries. So this is pretty cool because I do know that a lot of you here in the community are Social Security beneficiaries and again, also Medicare beneficiaries. So I do know a little bit about what they're trying to do here. So let me tell you the details about this. But as far as the rest of the parameters about the bill, there's not a whole lot that's been leaked out to us, as in the public. It's interesting because even other Democratic lawmakers don't really know what's going on with this bill. They're like, hey, I don't have a clue. They're just talking about it behind closed doors. I have no clue what's going on with this thing. So let me tell you what they have released on this stuff. So here's what they're indicating. One of the key provisions within this bill is they want to offer Medicare the ability to negotiate prescriptions. As a result of that, they also want to put limits on how much Medicare beneficiaries pay out of pocket for prescriptions items in any given year. And the cap would be $2,000 of out-of-pocket expenses that would be capped for Medicare beneficiaries. Now again, $2,000 still seems like a lot, but at the end of the day, to know that if you're somebody who takes, pharmacy prescriptions and know that they're very expensive, again, it might be nice to have that reassurance that, hey, at the end of the day, if Worst case scenario, the most I'll pay is $2,000. Again, I'm not trying to dismiss $2,000. That's a lot of money, but it might be a little bit reassuring to know that, hey, if I'm taking, prescriptions that cost $300 a month, the most I'm going to pay is $2,000 throughout the course of the entire year. So I guess that's one little silver lining throughout this whole thing. One quick side note here. I want to throw this out there as well. I've mentioned this in other videos, but I just want to throw it out there just in case you haven't checked this out. It's a great opportunity, and of course, everything that I've been reading on this, many people are very, very happy with this. If you happen to be somebody who is taking generic prescriptions, you might want to check out the website costplusdrugs.com, which is Mark Cuban's website where he is selling these generic prescriptions very, very cheap. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I do not take any prescriptions, but I have referred some family members over to the website, and I've said, hey, if you're taking common generic prescriptions, you may want to check this one out, because according to what I've been reading on this, it is very, very cheap. According to the reviews I've been reading, some people would go out and pay, say, $200 or $300 for their regular monthly prescriptions at their local pharmacy, and they're picking up the same things for $20, $25, maybe $30 for the same old thing at Mark Cuban's pharmacy. So just throwing it out there. If you're interested, please check it out. Cost Plus Drugs is the website. If you're not interested, that's fine. But if you know somebody who takes common generics, you might want to check this one out. Now, here's a couple things about it that I want to point out for you really fast here. Number one, they do not accept insurance as of right now. It's all cash pay. But here's what I also want to point out for you. What I've also been reading on this is that even paying cash for these generics is even cheaper than running it through insurance. So kind of interesting, right? Here's another side note on this. I used to work in a pharmacy. I worked in a pharmacy for about 2 years, 2.5 years, something like that, as a pharmacy technician. It was interesting because I saw tons of patients every single day. They would come in and they would run it through their insurance, and it was like a $50 copay. And I was like, you realize I could give this to you cash pay for like $12. And they're like, wait, what? We ran it through the insurance. And I was like, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's a $50 copay when we go through your insurance, but I could give this to you for cash for $12. And they're like, I'll just pay cash. And I'm like, yeah, obviously, right? So anyway, I've seen the back end of this stuff as I worked in those pharmacies, dispensing thousands of prescriptions. And I saw this time and time and time again. Paying cash for them, the generics, like the basic generics, is usually way cheaper than going through insurance. Anyway, just a side note from personal experience, as I did see this firsthand over the course of a couple years as I worked in that pharmacy, patient after patient, I saw this multiple times every single day. Anyway, just want to give you my own little personal experience on this because I've seen it firsthand from the back end of the pharmacy. I've seen it. So this is a real thing. Anyway, check out that website if you are interested. If not, that's totally fine too. Just want to help you out, kind of save some money right now. All right, now let's quickly talk what else is going on here. Another mess to throw into the whole pile here, which is COVID. Yeah, that whole thing that we've all kind of forgotten about by now. But no, according to what the reports are right now, COVID cases are actually spiking. We're actually exceeding 100,000 cases a day right now here in the United States, and they're actually anticipating a massive fall tsunami. That's what they're now calling it, a fall tsunami. So kind of interesting. A little bit later this year, in a matter of just a few months from right now, they're actually anticipating a huge surge in COVID cases right here in the United States. So kind of interesting to see that play out. Here's what else is interesting. As I've been saying for literally the last 2 years now, keep an eye on European countries, because when we see waves over there with COVID cases, generally it transfers over here within the next few weeks, maybe a month or so after the massive spikes over in European countries. Generally it lands here in the US a few weeks or maybe even a month or so later. Well, here's what's interesting. I just read a report on this across some European countries where they are now posting about 300,000 cases a day across some of the European countries. So again, keep an eye on this because they're also anticipating a pretty big surge here coming soon. Well, that's probably going to transfer into us. And again, the whole COVID thing, it's kind of weird, right? We've been dealing with this for 2.5 years now. But the fact of the matter is, COVID is what actually sparked all of this to start happening, right? COVID is the reason why we got checks in the first place, stimulus checks. I know that we talk about that here a lot in the community, but the fact of the matter is, this is not over. There's a lot more going on right now with all this going on, right? The recession on the table, COVID spiking right now. I mean, so many different things. Inflation through the roof, gas prices that are unbelievable right now. I mean, seriously, there's so many different things going on. So this is the report that I have for you as of right now. All of these headlines that just hit the wire. I want to share this with you just so that we can keep an eye on what is going on and that bill that they plan on voting on sometime this month. So one more quick side note on that. When are they going to be voting on it? I don't know. They just said sometime in July. But the fact of the matter is, since this is a reconciliation bill, they do need to get the details of this thing to the Senate parliamentarian within the next week or so. Otherwise, it's game over because, well, let me say that. It's not going to be game over. It's more like going to be game delayed because they need to get this over to the Senate parliamentarian so she can figure out, is this allowed in the reconciliation bill or is it not allowed? So she needs to figure that out, and they need to get it to her soon in order to secure a vote sometime in July. But if they drag their feet on it like they've done with virtually every other bill, then we're likely going to see it extended out into possibly August or who knows when at that point. But this is their plan as of right now, voting in the end of July on this next reconciliation bill. So anyway, these are the details that I know as of right now. The bill has been a lot of hush-hush around this thing. There's not been a whole lot of details leaked. But this is what I know as of right now as far as the new reports that were just released earlier today. So anyway, of course, as I do get more details on any of these reports, as well as the bill or anything else out there, of course, I'll be right here for you, breaking it down, helping you out in any way that I possibly can. So again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out some of the thousands of videos right here on the channel. Please enjoy your day. Until next time, have a good one, enjoy, and I'll catch you again later.